Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because, wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fresh Take from What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Margaret.
And this is Amy. Today, we're talking to Shannon Carpenter. He has been a stay-at-home dad since 2008. He's also a humor writer, trained through the famous Second City. Redbook has named Shannon Carpenter as one of America's adventure dads, and BuzzFeed has recognized him as one of the funniest women of the week in 2020, which is really weird because Shannon is not a woman. His new book is The Ultimate Stay-at-Home Dad, Your Essential Manual for Being an Awesome Full-Time Father, a manual on day-to-day parenting filled with direct and actionable advice sourced from Carpenter's life and over 50 stay-at-home dads nationwide. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
We're hoping to find you to be the funniest woman we've ever met. By the end.
I am hilarious as a woman.
So there are about 2 million stay-at-home dads in the United States right now. Is that about right?
Give or take. It's hard to pin a number down, but yeah.
Well, you say in the book it's actually because a lot of people don't identify as that. I mean, stay-at-home mothers don't either, but I think stay-at-home dads, there's a particular yeah, but I do this other thing too.
Yeah. Once you have a side hustle, apparently you're not counted in the official numbers.
Oh.
And that's true for stay-at-home moms as well, by the way. And so for stay-at-home dads, it depends on where you look. The National At-Home Dad.org, they put primary caregivers of fathers at about 7 million, but officially there's probably 2 million. So who knows?
But we're talking generally about dads who spend a lot of time with their kids.
Yes.
How did you and your wife decide, Shannon, that you were going to become one of the stay-at-home dads out there?
So, yeah, this is a question I get a lot because everyone's like, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? So I had a 15-month-old daughter, and every morning I was going to work. And me and my wife both worked professional jobs. We both went to an office. She's in advertising. I was an elder abuse investigator. And then we got pregnant with our second, or not we, she did. I was there, though. It was very fun. And so I started realizing we were just in this rut. Every day I would just get up, go to work, come home, and put her to bed by 8 o'clock. And I wasn't getting any time with her or my family. And I didn't like that. So with our second one, I joked with her. I said, I think maybe someone should stay home. And I said it. And then we started looking at numbers and ability and things like that. And then I said, I think it should be me. And it was a joke. Honest to God, it was a joke at first because it never entered my head. And then I looked at the numbers even more and I said, oh, it should be me. Like, no doubt it should be me. She's in advertising, so her career track was a lot bigger. And I had a good career and I was making good money and I was moving up to the state level and those things were good, but it was not what I wanted for my family. And that's truly how it started. And that was it. That was the decision.
And how did you feel about it? I remember probably 20 years ago meeting my first stay-at-home dad and really having thoughts of like, what? A dad? I mean, it has changed.
I know.
I feel like it is something that is becoming a little bit more common. But was it something that you had reservations about in terms of identity?
You know, not as far as my own masculinity goes, because, and this is one of the things I think it made me better. I was always very comfortable of who I was. And I knew that no one gets to define my masculinity other than me. Like, it's not a debate that anybody gets to weigh in on. Now, with that said, though, I had trouble at first with my own self-worth. And I think that's where a lot of men come into. You know, we measure our self-worth by the paycheck, you know, by the job title. And I lost those things. And that took me a couple of years to kind of not only come to terms with it, but actually embrace it and know what my self-worth is. So, yeah, it was hard.
Interesting.
Let's talk about some of the assumptions that people make about stay-at-home dads, you know, when you're out in the world by yourself, because I think there's extremely positive and extremely negative connotations, right? And you get them all. So let's talk about what are some of the reactions that stay-at-home dads get.
You know, the funny thing is the typical misconception is Mr. Mom. And don't call us Mr. Mom. I don't call anybody Mrs. Dad. Let's not do that.
We have an expression on the podcast, which is the Oldilocks alert. Mr. Mom originated with I believe, Michael Keaton movie in the 80s.
From the 80s.
From the 80s, right.
That's an Oldilocks alert right there, people.
Back in my day. And I had a question about that, too. Like when you talk about Mr. Mom on the first page of your book, which is, of course, like the first stereotype that leaps to mind for most of us as a stay-at-home dad. And it's like, it's adorable. He's wearing an apron. He can't do anything. Like bumbling idiot, right? At home, overwhelmed.
Yes.
And it's really interesting to me that has not been updated as a cultural touchstone, right? Like that's what everybody thinks of as a stay-at-home dad, and it has not been updated since the 80s?
No, and it hasn't. They either think that I'm super effeminate, or I'm a moron. Like I can't be just a good dad. Like there's no in between. It's the Homer Simpson dad. And the truth of it is I could go out and chop wood and build decks and redo a bathroom. I can do all that. I can also bake one heck of a tart. I can decorate a cake and I can sew a pillowcase. I don't have to be confined to those kind of stereotypes. And that's what what people normally think when they think of the stay-at-home
I think
dad.
they also think either like, oh, you're babysitting, you're helping your wife in this very specific way, or you are an angel sent from Jesus's rainbow. Like both of those two things also come into it, which are equally absurd.
It is. And I'm glad you bring that up because we're going to break this down a little bit because the idea that I'm helping mom or that I'm babysitting, it's not true. I'm parenting, right? And you see a lot of this, like, why don't moms get more help? And I'm like, that's not the issue. You need to frame it as why dad isn't pulling his weight. And there, I said it, and that's just the way it should be. And then, like you said, the flip side, and this is a true story, I'll tell you, that when I go out by myself, I always get, are you babysitting? Or I get, oh, you're so brave for taking them to the store. And I'm like, it's the store. It's not brave. And I know, right? So,
I mean, you're also, depending on the day, still very brave for taking them to the store. It could go real wrong in there, people.
It could. And so those are the type of things that I get. But if I'm by myself, like at let's say a playground, right? Then you're seen as almost a predator. And even when you look your best and everything else like that. So those can be kind of disconcerting.
That's interesting. It's like, what is this dude doing at the playground? Because they don't necessarily connect you. I've had this experience before where people have said, like, who is that guy at the playground? And then they connect him to a kid. And once they understand you're with a kid, it's fine. But until then, you're like a dude lurking around the playground.
It is.
People don't necessarily think like, oh, you're just another person here with their kid.
And we've had dads that have been confronted and yelled at and had the cops called on them. And that happens. But I'm part of a dad's group. And that's where it changes. When I go out with my dad's group, now we're these unicorns.
Yeah.
And that's where the other part of it is like, oh, look at these brave men. And again, not brave, just got a stroller, man. Like we've stopped and taken pictures with moms. And I could never figure it out. So that's what it's really like.
Can I ask about that? Because I think like sitting on the outside as a stay-at-home mom, and when we joke about that on the podcast, of course, like, I can take my 3 kids on vacation and have flown by them, gone through security, whatever, and not even gotten a second glance from anybody. But if I like get up to go to the bathroom and I come back and, and my husband, this is when my kids were little, of course, was with all 3 of them for, 45 seconds. There's already like a crowd gathering to put garlands around his neck, for making him the father of the year. And we're always like, must be nice. But maybe it isn't so nice. What is it like to be on the receiving end of those?
It's insulting.
Exceedingly positive assumptions. It's insulting, yeah.
It is. It is insulting. I do some really cool stuff. Like I built a ballista with my children. That you should applaud. That was awesome.
What is a ballista?
It's a giant crossbow that shoots arrows,
Got it.
Like that I can do. That deserves applause.
Yes.
But me just sitting with my kids in public, it's not any of those things. It's insulting. It means you think I'm an idiot.
I'm going to push back and say that there's a happy medium between all of us where moms need a little more applause and dads need a little less applause. Because I was at pickup yesterday. My youngest is now 9, and I just sit there and they come and jump in the car. And the woman next to me, tiny parking space. Everyone's, waiting for their kids. She backs the car in this tiny parking space and manages to get out now through her crowded 2 side doors, the infant car seat and an angry 2-year-old, and put them in. And she starts pushing the stroller because I'm waiting for my kid who's walking, and she's got to walk to the school to get them. And I was like, someone hand this one a medal. She just did that, I think there's a medium where we're recognizing that some of this work is hard, but not so hard that, dad gets a medal for just walking by.
Yeah. And I think the truth of it is too, in the stay-at-home dad world, we know this. Moms are judged way more harsher than we are.
Yeah.
We get a free rein on a lot of stuff. My kid could show up without pants and it would still be cool. It's dead.
Ha ha. Isn't that adorable? Right.
I know, right?
But he put that cute bow in her hair.
Now, the other stay-at-home dads are like, dude, get your stuff together, brother. We need to work it out.
Right.
Now, you talk about this community of dads who you have found. How did that process come about?
So,
is it hard to find a network of stay-at-home dads?
It used to be. It's not now. And in the book, I tell you how to do it. Back in 2008, and the way it really happened is I kept getting rejected from moms groups. They wouldn't let me join at first. I know, right? And I get it. We want to talk about episiotomies and breastfeeding. But I needed some adult interaction. So I would basically tackle my wife when she would come home from work and just talk to her about the most boring stuff of what I did.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
Yeah, I was like, I made peanut butter and jelly. It was amazing. And one day she sat me down. She said, honey, you need to find friends. And I'm like, I'm trying. And then the next thing you know, the next day I found a place called KC Dads. It was a dad's group. And I went and I met him at the library, and I've been with the same core group of guys, 5 guys, for 13 years. They're my best friends. And nowadays for dads, it's all organized through a group called City Dads Group out of New York. And they organize 41 different dads groups across the country. It's easy now. Go find a dads group.
Let's take a break. And when we come back, let's talk a little bit about what it looks like to be part of a dads group.
For some of us, tax season is one of the only times that we look at our finances fully. And once it's over, well, that was terrible. And it is completely understandable not to want to think about it for another whole year. But using Monarch and being intentional with your finances in an ongoing way helps you see where your money is going and how you can put your refund to best use.
We are here to tell you, simplify your finances with Monarch. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts and investments, net worth, and future planning together in one dashboard on your phone or laptop.
Feel aware and in control of your finances this tax season and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code FRESH.
As you know, my husband and I are preparing to send, 3 kids off to college, and I cannot tell you how helpful Monarch has been in showing us our full financial picture, helping us to track our spending and reach important savings milestones. Our weekly meeting, Amy, it's now run by Monarch.
Love it. Achieve your financial goals for good with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes money management simple.
Use code FRESH at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off at monarch.com, code FRESH.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
Okay, we're back. We're talking to Shannon Carpenter. He is the author of the new book, The Ultimate Stay-at-Home Dad. Shannon, you gave a bit of advice in this book for stay-at-home dads. It really made me laugh that if you want to make friends with a stay-at-home mom, because there's probably more of them at the playground, you want to ask for the email first.
Yes.
Not the phone number. So I thought that was funny. How did things go wrong when you're trying to sort of integrate yourself into a gender mixed environment?
You got to really work hard not to come off as creepy. So you got to be put together, shave, don't stink.
You've got to assume your default mode is creepy. So you've got to crawl back from that.
It is.
What do stay-at-home moms get wrong about this? Like, what do you wish, like, the queen bee with the diaper bag, what do you wish she understood about how we can inadvertently exclude the men?
So we call that the wolf pack mom. That's what we call her. And, here's the truth, right? I'm not trying to hit on anybody that comes up. I'm tired. I'm usually covered in baby vomit, right? I do not feel attractive whatsoever. So that's with moms. If you see a stay-at-home dad and I'm talking to you, it's because I absolutely crave adult interaction, and I'm just trying to be friendly, and I'll crack some dad jokes, and I'll, do all that kind of thing. So I think that would help. And just to realize that we're really in the same boat with your podcast. And I've listened to a lot of it. The things that you guys talk about, I relate to on a very specific level, so we're in the same boat. I just, don't have a chest. How's that?
I listened to a podcast that you should totally listen to, Homemade. There was an episode about ghosts. Really good episode. Anyway, there's one story in the episode that's about a stay-at-home dad named Steve who has a ghost. And I don't want to give too much of the episode away, but basically finds out that the ghost is it's a poltergeist. It's like doing things more when he's home alone with his daughter. And finally he gets like a psychic to communicate with the ghost. Like, what is up with you, ghost? The ghost didn't like that he was a stay-at-home dad.
There we go.
Yeah. The ghost is clearly like an old-fashioned person who's like, he shouldn't be alone with this daughter. And where did the mom go? Isn't that funny? And so he talked to the ghost about it, and they worked it out.
Even ghosts have these prejudices. It's terrible.
Yes.
I know. When you get ghost judgment, it's tough.
Right. When even ghosts don't like it.
So you have this group of dads, and what kind of support do you guys provide for each other? And what was it like to find that group of people?
In the book, I joke about it as almost like I wrote it like a romance novel because you're just so desperate for human interaction. And I think moms understand that, the isolation, and it's worse for dads on some parts of that. So to find these guys and have a place where I could ask questions that didn't appear stupid nor creepy. For example, breastfeeding. I know it's a big deal with moms, but I'm there. I'm trying to help, and I don't know what's happening. I don't have breasts, right? So cracked nipples are a thing that I was not aware of, and my wife is crying and my daughter is crying. I don't know what to do. Who do I ask to help with that? Because otherwise it sounds like that someone needs to call the police because it's a weird question. But when I go to a dad's group, I can ask those questions and then get answers because guys have been through it. And it goes through everything. And
is this a virtual group of people, or this is people you're interacting with in person?
In person. Actually, the way we run it is, and now my kids are in school, but we still get together, but play group every Wednesday. And then Adventure Fridays is where I'd set an adventure, and we do that.
Oh, tell us about that. What's an Adventure Friday like?
So Adventure Friday is, we realized very early on that we didn't have to do the things the way that they've been traditionally done because we didn't like it. I love this library story time. That will always go. But man, I hate the mall playground. That's some hardcore mom place and I don't like it. I felt my sperm count would just drop every time I walked into there. But so we started taking the kids to places that we wanted to go on Friday. And we've done everything from Civil War battlefields to graveyards to the world's biggest ball of twine, just whatever we wanted to do. And the kids don't care, especially when they're young. You're the attraction as dad. Wherever you go, they're fun.
That's an interesting tip that I think sometimes is a gender brain differential, which is that women sometimes are like, we have to do it this way because it is our duty to keep our kids happy. And that's a really great offering from a dad's group of learning of like, kids, especially when they're young, will come along to anything. So why not go explore something that you're interested in too?
Yeah. They don't care. We took them to a coffee factory and we all made French press coffee. They hated it. We liked it, but it was, I think with moms, there is that expectation that is put on them and it's so high. And as a dad, I have no expectation on me to keep them alive. And that's true. So I never had to fall into that.
That's really interesting. The expectations are lower, which can be insulting, but there's also freedom in that, isn't there?
Very much.
And I think the takeaway, because I had my first kid at 36, and so I had been a very independent, like out there in the world, having fun person. And I remember like
okay, I have to stop being that person and now be the person who enjoys going to the mall playground.
Yes. Oh.
And it's interesting to me that you saw that and you were like, I don't enjoy this. I have to change it. And I saw that and I was sort of like, I guess this is my destiny now. And I sat down and drank Coke out of a paper cup and just was miserable.
That's it, right? And I say this in the book. I was at the mall playground. What ended it for me, one of the Wolfpack moms came by. And if you're part of that group, it's awesome because you're kind of like the studs, right? But I got sat on, like they sat on my arm, like physically sat on my arm and didn't notice it. And I freaked out for about 10 seconds because I'm like, someone's going to call the cops on me and I haven't done anything, but she's on my arm. And so I didn't even register to some of those people. And that was like, I'm out. I'm never coming back here again.
Wow.
It's interesting because that invisibility is another theme of being a parent, but the invisibility of the mom is different than the invisibility of the dad.
It is. And I've also been lucky to see the other side of it. In the book, I call them Good Witch Glindas. They're the ones that just take you under their wing and show you how it's done and treat you like a normal person and give you so much help. And most moms, 99% of them are like that. And I love those people. They're so helpful.
Do you think the pandemic was different for stay-at-home dads than stay-at-home moms? Was it equally horrible? Probably yes, but I'm curious.
I mean, it was horrible, let's be honest, but was it equally horrible?
What kind of bad was it?
I think it was, honestly, from my standpoint, it was equal because the things that they were going through in every podcast I listened to or talk that they were going through, I was too. I had 3 kids in 3 different grades. I had a high schooler, a middle schooler, and a second grader. So I'm doing all the teaching while my wife is upstairs working. And all the spaces that I had in the house that were mine are just gone. Just poof.
We just did an episode about that called a Remove One's Own. We said the women's space, but it's the non-working person's space.
Yes.
Becomes completely fungible while everybody else's priorities double and become much more important.
Yes. And I listened to that episode and I was like, they get it. So like I said, I feel a lot of the same things that stay-at-home moms do.
I also want to talk about branding with you, Shannon, because like Adventure Fridays, I'm a big brander. Like just call it a cool name and the kids will roll with it. So Adventure Fridays, you also rebranded in your book the diaper bag as an adventure bag. Tell us about that and what should go inside.
Yes. So a diaper bag is what your wife carries around. It's, lime green, leather, something like that. A lot of zippers, place for makeup. And dads don't need that, right? And I think with new dads, like 13 years in, I don't care. I'll carry a plastic sack now. But with new dads, it kind of helps you set your identity. So you change it from a diaper bag to an adventure bag. And this is your bag. You don't share this bag. You don't give this away. No one gets to pack it but you. So to pack it, and here's again where the expectations help out because I have none on me. Diapers, wipes, all those things you would normally do, butt paste, those kinds of things. But I have found that if I keep a multi-use tool and a small roll of duct tape in there as well, those have saved me many times. I can repair a toy. If that last tab on the diaper breaks and it's my last diaper, I got duct tape right there. I've legit fixed a grocery cart with those tools and made my life easier. So that's what a dad should pack, plus a changing pad, because half the places you go aren't going to have a changing table.
That's right. There's nowhere for you to change your baby. I want to take a break, and when we come back, talk a little bit more about this idea of expectations.
All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence, all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code free.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code free.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand. And it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING.
We're back with Shannon Carpenter, the author of The Ultimate Stay-at-Home Dad, your essential manual for being an awesome full-time father. One of the things we talk about a lot, and you address in the book, I want someone else to do it, but I want them to do it in the right way, which is my exact way.
Yes.
Really the only acceptable way, the way I do it.
Or I want them to want to do it, right? I want them to set the table and I want them to enjoy it and not give me a hard time about it either.
So how did this play out? Was this an issue for you and your wife in the beginning in terms of like, I'm going to run with this? And how did she react to that concept?
So I advise every stay-at-home dad, and I've been doing this for years and years before I bought the book, is get your job description in writing. And I know it sounds like a joke, you know, but I'm like, I mean, down to the T of what it looks like.
Anyone who has ever created the I'm going away binder knows about putting someone's job in writing.
It's true.
My first one was like 17 pages long for one baby for 2 days.
You know what, though? But it sets those expectations from the start. And my wife and I didn't do that. And so there are certain things that I did differently that she didn't like. And there were certain things that she did she doesn't like the way I vacuum, right?
So how do you vacuum?
Normal. I don't know. I just vacuum.
Oh, Shannon, there is no normal vacuuming. Please, how dare you?
You know, to put it in dad terms, I vacuum like I mow the yard in straight lines, and I get the nice little cuts, right?
Okay.
Sounds good to me. You can come vacuum in my house any day.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like the way my wife didn't vacuum, and that was a place we had conflict. But we learned to set the expectations, to know what the other expects. And then she had to learn that just because my way is different does not mean it's wrong. And I had to learn to back up and not try to rescue her when she was with the kids or in the house, because it was very much my nature to do that. And that took us a couple of years to figure out, to have that mutual level of trust and respect, I think. You know, that was actually one of the rockier moments, I think, of the whole thing.
And what did those conversations look like? Are you sitting down once and then kind of going through the day to day, or did you really just keep bumping into it and bouncing off of it and going a different direction?
You know, it's one of those things that it started out just kind of little comments here and little comments there. But my wife and I have always been very good at communicating. So we actually sit down and we talk it out and we come up. It's a business meeting. It's very weird. The only difference is if it's going to be an emotionally invested discussion, we hold hands, because it's very hard to yell at somebody when you're holding their hand.
That is a really nice tip that I have never heard of before.
Yeah, because you all heard it's not you versus your wife. It's you and your wife versus the problem.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Amy always says same team. That's her hashtag for talking about tough stuff. But that, I really got a little joy chill when you said that. Like,
Yay.
Hold hands when you talk about it. I've never thought of that. That's a big takeaway for me. I love that.
And how often do you do these meetings? Are they sort of every 6 months we do it, or is it as needed?
In the beginning, as a stay-at-home dad, so what you got to realize that you don't actually have a contract. You can leave anytime you want, right? So we would evaluate it for the first year every 3 months of whether we wanted to still doing this, what were the problems, and what were the solutions. And we did that for a year, and that switched to every 6 months. And then I remember that right when my daughter was about to go to kindergarten, and I was talking to my wife, I was like, we have a son. I have 3 children, but at the time we just had 2, and he wasn't too far away. And I said, what am I going to do when he goes to school? And my wife says, well, you're going to have to be home by 3 because you still have to take care of kids. She was totally bought into it.
Right.
So now we still reevaluate every 6 months to a year. It's easier.
I think what's interesting about that, too, is that this is something that my husband and I have started doing much later because we didn't have the big presentational thing. Like, well, we're going to make this decision for the man to stay home. That's kind of different, and therefore we have to evaluate it. This is good advice for all people. Because my husband and I, we've had a crazy summer because of work emergencies and other things that have come up, and coming out of COVID, we've had a crazy time. And I just said to him, we need to sit down and now we'll be holding hands through it.
Business meeting.
But I said, we need to sit down and have a family meeting, which we mean the 2 of us sit down and just talk, because life, and especially family life with your spouse, is such a runaway train. Like, you're always chasing it. It's always going wrong. And we always say our mode is angry coworkers at the daycare. Like, it's like we just have nothing left between us but like, did you put a banana in there? He doesn't like bananas. Like, when we are in that mode where we're just only in the bad place. And I think this idea of meetings and making the time is something that we skip.
I think so too, and all our dads do this in my little group. We call us the 5 families. But my wife and I sit down on Sunday night, usually in bed by alone, get out the phones, go over the schedule, go over what we're doing this week, my responsibilities, her responsibilities, and especially as the book stuff is taken off, my mental warehouse is getting a little full. And so she's picked up some things now. So that actually helps out. And my kids I have a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, and an 8-year-old. They've actually picked up a lot of the pace here. And that makes me feel good. I have a good team. at home.
I have a hack for that too, for people listening. We started in the midst of all of this craziness. We put our to-do list, the whole family to-do list, in a Google document. And so it says who's doing it. And then we both check it every day, and you just add stuff, because I don't want to call him 10 times a day when he's traveling for work and being like, I need you to remember this one needs orthodontia and you have that number. And so we do a Google Doc. We're both in it and out of it all day and just checking it. I got that from you, Amy, because that's how you and I work.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Central repository.
It's actually genius, because I know in the parenting world, in the mom and dads, it's who carries the mental load of parenting.
Yes.
Right? And how do you share that? And I think that's the answer. That's fantastic. I'm going to use it.
You offload some of it.
Yeah.
I have a related question about that, because, of course, like when the school nurse calls, they're going to call the default parent. The default parent is presumed to be the mom, right? So how have you and your wife dealt with that, the presumption that the person setting up the play dates and signing the permission slips has to be the mom?
Well, first off, I want to give a shout out to Donna, the secretary at my school, that I have known for 12 years now, because as a dad, you have to be vetted. Like, you have to show up and say, call me first. You have to do that all the time. So when Donna retires, I'm going to her retirement party. Like, I've known her a long time. So they always call me now for school, but it's only after I've made myself known and aware. The doctor's office is a little bit different, that I have to change, or I have to give them the speech every time there's a new receptionist.
Yeah.
It's like, don't call mom, call me. And I have to make sure that they know that.
And what is the speech? And do you get resistance, or is it like, oh, okay, cool? Or what is there?
No, they've asked me what I've done. And this is the one that stung. And just for the drama, but never happens like this all that much. They asked me what I did. I said, well, I'm the stay-at-home dad. She goes, oh, you're unemployed. And I was like, oh, nope.
No, not unemployed. Let's try that again.
Different. It's like, no, I take care of the kids. Most of the times they're like, okay, no problem. But then they'll still call my wife half the time. So
it occurs to me, they've changed. I mean, I've been filling out school forms for a long time. When my oldest was little, it was like mother, father, right? Now it's parent 1, parent 2. And then there's a room for a guardian, and there's room for a step parent, a second household. They're being very broad-minded about that, as they should be. But there needs to be a box for like, which is the parent that we call?
Yeah.
Like, just tell us, right? Who is the grown-up, the default grown-up in this family unit? Because it isn't necessarily the mother or the father or whatever. It's time to broaden.
I would check that box. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I do think this is something that's shifting, but it was so notable in the last presidential election that all of the female candidates were being asked, who's going to take care of your kids? And it's like, anyone with young kids, there was never a question you don't ask the dad.
No.
Like, well, how are you going to do this? It seems really hard. Obama had really young kids when he was running for president.
And that's true. My wife and I have talked about this a great deal because I have a daughter or two. And when she had the baby, they asked her, are you coming back to work? When I had the baby, no one ever asked me that. You know?
Right.
And you should.
Yeah.
Being a stay-at-home dad's awesome. Yeah.
Tell us about the Dad House Pod.
So we started this podcast, me and the guys that I've been with Playgroup for a decade. We decided that dads needed better advice, and there just wasn't enough out there, and it wasn't very good advice, and it was condescending. And honestly, it's a sore spot. It makes me mad because some of the things I'm told are just stupid. And they just are. It's, make sure you feed the baby. I'm just like, yeah, I got that. I know to do that.
Do not hold the baby upside down by 1 foot.
I know.
Okay, got it.
It's like, I need to know how to cook with a toddler trying to punch me and a baby throwing up on me. That's what I need to know.
Yeah.
I need to know where to go in the world. So we started the podcast as a way to give fathers that real world advice that is not filled with those platitudes you hear men give each other, take one for the team and suck it up and all that. So on that podcast, we talk about some silly things like water heaters. I don't know how we made that funny, but it did. But then we give real advice like, take the 3 a.m. feeding when you have a newborn. Always. That should be dad's time at the 3 a.m. feeding. And we tell you why. So we try to help dads out that way.
That's awesome. Well, we've gotten a lot of great advice from you today. Tell everyone listening where they can find your book and where they can find you.
You can find my book wherever you buy books. You can find me at shannoncarpenterauthor.com if you want some of my best of parenting satire, which given the last year really came out flowing.
You've got a lot of material.
A lot of anger there. And then, of course, Twitter at Hossman at Home is my Twitter handle. That's my nickname is Hossman. So there we go. That's how you find me.
Awesome.
All right. We'll put a link to all of that in the show notes. Shannon's new book is The Ultimate Stay-at-Home Dad, Your Essential Manual for Being an Awesome Full-Time Father. Clearly you are that. Shannon, thanks for talking to us.
This was a great conversation.
Thank you for having me, everybody. I loved it.